Hi everyone, my name is Trizha Beatreaze as Maligaya from grade 6 in Stephen. We are going to discuss about branches of science. Branches of science. There are three main branches of science. First, we have physical science. Second, life science. And the third one is earth science. And those three we will discuss further in our discussion under the physical sciences. There are still multiple of sub-sciences under it. First, we have chemistry. Chemistry is a study of matter at the chemical level. It is a study of atoms of molecules, elements in the solution and substances that are around us. Next is physics. Physics is a study of matter in the perspective of energy and motion. Physics is everything about the surround us. It's everything around or surrounding our physical world. The next is astronomy. Astronomy. It is a study of the world outside this world. It is the heavenly bodies outside the earth as well as the solar system and the space. Now, let us discuss about the life sciences. Life sciences is about living organism and anything that has life. And first, under life sciences, we have botany. Botany. It is study of the plant kingdom. And by this definition, the plants that include are algae, fungi, lichens, mosses, ferns, conifers, and flowering plants. Next, we have zoology. Zoology is the study of animal kingdom. So it includes the structure, the embryology, the evolution, the classification, the habits, and the distribution of all animals, both living and extinct, how they interact with each other. And the last one is genetics. Genetics. It is a study of genes and heredity, variation and patterns. It is a study how traits are passed from the parents to their offspring. Still under the life sciences, we have medicine. It's a study of diseases as well as the treatment and prevention. It is the practice of caring for a patient and managing the prognosis of the injuries. Next, we have nutrition. Nutrition examines human health based on diet. It's an interpreting the nutrients and other substances in food in relation to maintenance, the growth, reproduction, health, and disease of an organism. And the last one is the human biology. Human biology studies how we live, reproduce, and die. It's an interdisciplinary area of study that examines humans through the influence and interplay of many diverse fields such as psychology, anatomy, and all those other stuff. For the last main branch of science, we have the earth science, also known as the geoscience. It includes all fields of natural science related to planet Earth. For the first one, we have geology. So geology is the study of rocks. It examines the structure of the earth to study its history to find out what event it was experienced before and what is currently occurring. It is concerned with the solid earth of which it is composed and the processes by which they change over time. Next is paleontology. Paleontology is the study of life in the past similar to geology. It is a study of history, life on Earth based on fossils, so it also studies dinosaurs and mammoths. Next one is meteorology. It's the study of weather with a strong focus on predicting how weather will occur. Meteorology is simply the science that focuses on the Earth's atmosphere. What is scientist? A scientist is someone who explores the nature of the universe. He is a person who conducts the scientific research to advance knowledge in an area of interest. So before, there was no real ancient concept of modern scientists. Instead, philosophers engaged in the philosophical study of nature called the natural philosophy, where a natural philosophy is a precursor of natural science. So let us discuss some of the famous scientists in the different branches of science. And first, we have Zacharias Janssen. He was born in 1581 and died on 1638. And he was the guy who invented the very first confound microscope. So for millennia, the smallest things human could see was just as wide as a human hair. Why does our hair stand? But when the microscope was invented around 1590, suddenly we saw a new whole world of living things. In water, in our food, and under our nose. And that is thanks to the microscope, so that is how the first microscope looked like. It's just like a tube, a metal tube. For our second scientist, we have Mr. Robert Hooke. So he's known for inventing the balance spring and also for the law of electricity. So aside from the law of electricity and balance spring, he is also known for coining the term cell. So cell is the basic unit of life. And he coined this word because when he looked under the microscope, a tiny slice of cork, he saw that there are tiny small holes of walls that look like cells of a monk. And therefore, the word cell arose in the story. Next scientist, we have Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So he developed the microscope, meaning the microscope that Zacharias Janssen invented. He improvised it or he improved it, and he added parts to that microscope, and therefore the single lens microscope that he built could magnify the things that can be seen. In that microscope, more bigger and about 200 times, and that is how the microscope that Anton van Leeuwenhoek invented looked like. The next scientist, we have Carolus von Linnaeus or Carl von Linné. So he's the father of taxonomy because he is the one who laid the foundations for the modern biological naming scheme or binomial nomenclature. He was the one that devised the naming of organisms. So just like as humans, we have two science. We have in our scientific name two words. We have Homo and Sapiens. So that is called binomial nomenclature. Two names so that in our scientific name, and Carlos von Linnaeus is one of responsible for that. He arranged the kingdoms of plants and animals, so his work was published in the Netherlands in 1735. Matthias Leiden. So Matthias Leiden concluded that plants are made of four cells, meaning there are cells within plants that makes the plants function, and that means that he is one of the contributor in the cell theory. Another contribution of Matthias is that he recognized the importance of the cell. Nucleus, meaning he is simplified that the nucleus are important inside the cell because it serves as the brain of the cells of the control room of the cell. Is Theodore Swan. So Theodore Swan's one of the country contributions include the development of the child theory. So he also one of the contributors in the postulates of the cell theory. And one of the postulates that he contributed was that cells is the basic theory unit of life. And Theodore Swan is the physician, therefore his other contributions were almost related to medicine, just like his discovery of cell in the vaccine as well as the discovery of the organic nature of the yeast, the invention of the term metabolism. So the last one is the trio for the cell theory we have. Rudolf Virchow. So he states that new cells come from old cells through division or multiplying. The other his contributions are naming so many medical and scientific terms like chromatin, parenchyma, spina bifida, which is disease, and aside from those, he also invented the modern method of autopsy, which used the systematic microscopic examination of all parts when someone dead and it conserved. Another is Alfred Russel Wallace. So he is the co-discoverer of the theory of natural selection. He is, like the partner of the Charles Darwin, but therefore he became a partner of Charles Darwin. He was a fan of Charles Darwin and he followed his steps. And right there, he is the best known for conceiving the theory of evolution through natural selection. So our next scientist is none other than Charles Darwin. So Charles Darwin is introduced by scientific theory of evolution together with Alfred Wallace. So he said that there is a branching partner of evolution and his resulted from process that he called natural selection were selected the theory of people. This scientist, I know by just looking at this picture, you already know this guy. And he is none other than Albert Einstein. And he is one of the most famous scientists that has lived on Earth. He coined the word photons, which is also known as like quantums. So photon is a tiny energy packet of electromagnetic radiation so that we have light. It's because there are photons scattered, so Einstein was best known for his general and special theories of relativity and famous formula, which is E is equal to mc squared. So it equals to mc squared. It means energy is equivalent to matter multiplied by the speed of light squared. Famous physicists in science, we have John Dalton. So John Dalton is famous for his atomic theory, which states that matter is made of tiny particles, also known as atoms. Atoms are invisible and indestructible. We cannot see them. Atoms of a given element are identical in size, mass, and chemical properties, as well as is a law of conservation of mass. Another famous physicist is Isaac Newton. So Mr. Isaac Newton, he devised for the discover the three laws of motion, and then he also discovered the gravitational force, also the discovery of the calculus, and then he is one of the greatest mathematicians and physicists of all time. Modern physics, which is why he is considered as one of the greatest mathematicians and physicists. And this female scientist, and she is none other than that Marie Curie or Marie Sklodowska-Curie. She conducted a research on radioactivity. She is the very first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and not just a simple Nobel Prize, but two Nobel Prizes. So one Nobel Prize is chemistry and another Nobel Prize is physics. She discovered the elements polonium and radium, which are very radioactive, so her husband is also a famous scientist. The last scientists we have Niels Bohr and Ernest Rutherford. So those two contributed in the models of atoms. So Niels Bohr's atomic models look like the solar system, model, and while Ernest Rutherford's atomic models is like the one in GMA Neutron's logo. If you can imagine that, so Rutherford described an atom on consisting of positive center, and Niels Bohr suspected that electrons are revolve in quantized orbits. That's why they called planetary model or solar system model, because like of his atomic bomb. Those are the scientists, or some of the scientists is in the different branches of science. And there are still variety of science that are well known and even new. You can also be a scientist. Discover yourself is a scientist by just doing simple things. You are doing scientific research, you do scientific investigations, and by that you're already a scientist.